Now we're going to do another example. We're going to graph this rational function. So first of all, we want this to be factored. The denominator factors 2x minus 3 and x plus 2. Now, again, this after we factor, simplify if possible. This is already simplified. Once it's simplified, whatever your denominator is, we want to know what x values make this 0. Well, this is equal to 0 when x is 3 and when x is negative 2. So x equals 3 and x equals negative 2. These are the vertical asymptotes. So in other words, our graph, when x is negative 2 and when x is 3, x is negative 2 is right here, x is 3 is right here. Okay. So now we want to know, well, what is the graph going to look like? Well, let's again calculate our horizontal asymptotes. What happens when x goes to infinity and negative infinity? Well, when we go to infinity, the degree in the denominator, as we explained before, is larger than the numerator. And whenever that happens, when x gets really big or when x goes to infinity, this goes to 0, or y goes to 0. So the horizontal asymptote is the x-axis. The x-axis is y equals 0. All right, so now let's see what happens over here. As we approach negative 2 from the left, so that's negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. So think of like negative 2.1, negative 2.01. We're getting really small, so when I plug in negative 2.1, negative 2.1 plus 2 is going to be, we're always going to get a negative number here, but it's getting close to 0. But it is negative. When I plug in a negative 2.1 or a negative 2 here, minus 3, that's also going to be negative. But a negative times a negative is a positive, and a positive over a positive is a positive. So what we're doing is trying to figure out the sign. Is it going to positive infinity or negative infinity when I get close to here? So again, as we just said, this is positive, these two are negative when we come in from this way. 2 negatives multiplied is a positive, so it's going to go up to positive infinity. Yeah? And like we said over here, the horizontal asymptote is the x-axis, so it's going to look something like that. What's going to happen as we come in from the right? Negative 1, negative 1.9, negative 1.99, yeah? Negative 1.9, I'm just picking that. We're getting closer to negative 2. But negative 1.9 and a negative 3, well, that's a negative number. I'm not going to worry about the number, just the sign. Negative 1.9 plus 2 is a positive number, but it's getting close to 0. So the 0 times, the denominator is getting close to 0, but these two are negative, and a positive over a negative is a negative. So that means it's going to go to negative infinity when we come in from the left. From the right, excuse me. Now the question is, where is it going to cross the x-axis? Well, to find the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, let x equal 0. When x is 0, we get 2 over 0 minus 6 is minus 6. We get negative 1/3. So negative 1/3, let's say, is about right there. So it's going to do this. Now the question is, does it bend back up and go like this, or does it go back down? Well, let's see. Let's see what happens as we approach 3 from the left. For example, 2.9, 2.99, 2.999. So we're getting closer to 3 from the left. When I plug in 2.9 minus 3, we get a negative, getting close to 0. Yeah. When I plug in 2.9 here plus 2, that's just a positive. Again, keep in mind 2.9, 2.99, that's getting closer to 0 when I subtract, but it's always negative. Here we get a positive. A negative times a positive is a negative. A positive over a negative is a negative, so that means it's going to go to negative infinity when we approach this way. Now let's see what happens when we approach 3 from the right. In other words, this is 3, 3.1, 3, so we're a little bigger than 3, 3.1, 3.11. So when I plug in 3.1, we get 2, which is clearly a positive. 3.1 minus 3 is a positive. 3.1 plus 2 is a positive. That's always going to be a positive when we're a little bigger than 3, but it's going to 0, and any number over 0, that's going to blow up to infinity, but is it a positive or negative infinity? A positive over a positive and a positive is a positive infinity. It's going to go up to positive infinity. And then again, as we talked about, our horizontal asymptote is y equals 0, which is the x-axis. So this is going to come down and get closer to the x-axis. And our graph is going to look something pretty close to that.